Now, the last big and important thing about this chapter is this matter of the article. The article is usually translated the, although sometimes we'll find some other ways to translate it into to English when we come to it. But in Hebrew, to say the, like the horse, the man, the king, you're going to prefix a hey, a pathak, and then add a dagesh forte at the beginning of the word that you are articulating. So, if I have the word melech, what does melech mean?
King.
King. Okay, and I want to say the king, what do? I add a prefix hey, put a pathak under it, and what goes inside the mem of melech? A dagesh forte. You're going to double that first consonant of the noun. Okay, so this is hamelech. Hamelech. So say that with me. Hamelech. So that's the king. Let me just do one more here. This is the word for horse, and it's sus. How would I say the horse? Ha in front, and a doubling dot in the samik. Hasus. Hasus. Okay, so the horse. The horse. Yes, right.
If you had a word that began with a consonant that can't take a dagesh forte, would you put the article into it?
Like if I had a guttural at the beginning, we will deal with that in chapter 6. So hold your horses, and we will cover that. So let's move on now to the next section of ROS, which is 5.6. 5.6. And in ROS 5.6, this is on page 59, we learn how to attach the inseparable prepositions bet, kaf, lamed. Remember these prepositions mean respectively b, in, with or by, k, like or as, lamed preposition to or for. And we can add these to noun phrases that have the article on them. So just using the examples that we had just above, let's say we take the word for the horse, hasus, okay? So here we have the ha in front of the sus. There's my dagesh forte for the article. So hey, pathak, dagesh forte, and the first consonant of the word sus. The horse. Now, I can prefix one of the inseparable prepositions. So let's say I want to talk about the horse and say that I'm going to provide some food for the horse. What will I do? Well, I've already got the horse. I want to say for the horse. I'm going to add my lamed preposition. Now, lamed preposition comes standard with a vocal shiva. So le, ha, sus. That would be presumably the way to do it in Hebrew. And if only things were so easy, right? But as a matter of fact, our Hebrew conspirators have concocted a plan to try to confuse first-year Hebrew students. And it can't be as simple as this. So I'm going to tell you a story about some hungry letters. Lamed, kaf, and bet are very hungry letters. And hungry letters like to eat food. In particular, these inseparable prepositions like to eat hay. Okay? They like to eat hay, just like horses like to eat hay. The lamed preposition, for example, sees this hay right in front of it as it gets attached to the article ha on hasus and says, you look tasty. I think I'll gobble you up. Chomp, chomp, chomp. The lamed is going to swallow the hay. And the hay is going to disappear. He's going to go inside the lamed's tummy here. And the lamed is now going to slide over and occupy the place where the hay used to be. And so now I'm going to have a situation where the article of the of the article of the what is this thing called? The pathak of the article here and the dagesh forte of the article are going to be left behind, but the hey is going to be missing. So the pathak, the doubling dot, will be present. The lamed will take hey's place, and the vocal shava that the lamed had is going to fall by the wayside because lamed has an article that it can take now. Has a pathak that it can take, a vowel. Okay, so I'm going to be left with la sus. La sus. Now this will be translated as for the horse. Notice that there is an article hiding in here that is not visible and isn't present when I have the word horse with no article but the preposition lamed. So normally, my lamed preposition comes standard with the vocal shava, and then that's attached directly before whatever word we're attaching it to. If you look over here, though, I don't have a vocal shava under the lamed here, and that's supposed to clue me in. Hey, pardon the pun. Hey, there's something funny here. There must be an article hey. There must be an article that's been swallowed up, and the lamed, after eating the article hey, has burped up the pathak and the doubling dot. Those are the remnants of the article. Or maybe to put it another way, sometimes you've maybe seen these pet lizards that people get, and they might zip out their tongue and grab an insect with it. The insect goes flying into the mouth of the lizard, but the leg is dangling out of the mouth for a few seconds. That's what we have here. The hay has been sucked up by the lamed, but the pathak and the doubling dot of the article hay are like the legs dangling out of the mouth of the lamed, as visible evidence that the article used to be there. Okay, so lusus would be for a horse, lasus with the doubling dot and the pathak for the horse. Okay, so this happens with all sorts of nouns in Hebrew, and we'll walk through a handful of examples here using Ross as our guide. So one of the words that we have here is the word sefer. A sefer is a book or a scroll. Notice it has an accent mark over the samik. So say that with me. Sefer. Sefer. Okay, so this is a scroll. And I want to add a preposition to it. Let's use the preposition bet now. I want to say in a scroll. What do? I add the preposition bet, add the vocal schwa, and that's it. Bets come standard with a vocal shava, and there's no shava over here to make anything go away, so we're very happy here. B'sefer means in a scroll. Alright? Now, let's take the articular form of this word, which is ha-sefer. We've added the article hey to it with a pathak and a doubling dot, dagesh forte. Okay? So that would be the scroll. And now I want to say something like Moses wrote Torah in the scroll. How do I do that? I add my bet to the hey and its pathak and doubling dot. My vocal shava is what I'm supposed to put here. But bet is a hungry letter, sees the hey here, and says chomp, chomp. I swallow you up. And the bet hops over, leaves its vocal shava behind, and grabs the pathak and the doubling dot of the word, of the article that was attached to that word. So what we're going to end up doing here now is deleting all this extra stuff and just writing the bet in the place of the article, leaving the pathak and the doubling dot of the article, and now I have in the, or the scroll. So, compare these forms. All I'm seeing in a scroll is the vocal shiva. What I'm seeing over here is the pathak and the doubling dot with the bet. This first one is not articular, there's no article in a scroll, but here I definitely see the remnants of the article hey under the bet and to the right, to the left of it. So that is the bet with the article swallowed up in the scroll. All right, let's do one more here. Let's take a look at the word davar. You've learned this word. It means a word. Okay, what kind of a dagesh is this in the Dalit when I have simply this word? It's a dagesh lene, right? Remember, dagesh lene comes standard in begat letters. There's no preceding vocal noise, no vowel sound, no vocal shavas to force that dagesh lene to go away. So I start with the dagesh lene. Now I want to say in a word. Add the preposition bet to davar. What do I have? A bet preposition. I'm going to add my vocal shiva. Vocal shivas cause dagesh lenes to go away, right? It's going to blow out that dagesh lene because it's a weak dagesh. So we will see the dagesh go bye-bye, and off it goes. And I'm done. That is in a word, bedavar, bedavar. On the other hand, let's say I want to talk about a definite word. So the first thing I will do is I will add an article. So this is a word. I want to say the word, the word. How will I do that? Let's put the over here because I'm going to use up the space here. I'm going to add the article in front of the dalit. Hey, pathak, and doubling dot. So what once was a dagesh lene has now become a dagesh forte, right? How do I know that's a dagesh forte? Well, one of the characteristics of the article is that after the hey and pathak, I have to put a dagesh forte in the consonant of the noun we're attaching it to. But also, there is a vowel before this begad kefat letter, the vowel pathak. And a pathak, if this were a dagesh lene, would force the dagesh out, if it were a dagesh lene. Notice that the dagesh is still there. And that tells us that this must be a strong dagesh. It must be a dagesh that refuses to be blown away. And that is a dagesh forte. Okay, so that's had davar. Had davar. Alright, so that's the word. Now I want to add the preposition bet in the word. Brothers and sisters, you should be in the word. How would we do that? We add the bet preposition with its vocal shiva. The bet, though, is a hungry letter, sees the hey and says chomp, chomp, I eat you, and I will take your place, and I will burp up your pathak and doubling dot as proof that I have consumed you. The vocal shiva will be done away with because bet now has a vowel under it when it takes the hey's place. And so when all is said and done, what will we have? We will have the missing hey, but the evidence of skullduggery here. Okay, so this is what we end up looking like. We have a bet. Its vocal shiva has gone away, right? We don't see that anymore, but it has swallowed up the hey, and yet remaining are the articles pathak and dagesh forte. So again, what we want to do is contrast these two forms so that we can be clear that when we see them in written Hebrew, it's extremely evident. We have in a word, bedavar, versus in the word, badavar. Be, ba. you can see there's nothing hiding in here. This is the standard vocal shava. Dageshlene, it has gone away. Over here, badavar, I've got the dagesh forte and the pathak under the bet. Tells me, this is not just a simple bet, but a bet with something consumed. The old article has been gobbled up in the word. So, that is the story of Hebrew cannibalism. Now, finally, we want to spend a little time discussing 5.7. And Ross, this is the matter of how the article is used in terms of the semantics of the article. Okay? So semantics just has to do with meaning. So what is the meaningfulness related to using an article on a noun? There's several ways that the article is used in Hebrew. The by far most common use is to specify misspelling that, to specify a noun. Okay? You want to take a noun and make it more specific, you can add the article in Hebrew. So, using our word for king, we could take melech with no article, that's a king, right? If we add the article, a pathak doubling dot, then that changes this to a specific king, the king. There is a particular king I'm thinking of. Okay, so the king. Anytime you see the article, this is usually your go-to semantic. These are the go-to semantics for the article, is just to think, okay, is this specifying some noun? Maybe the noun's been introduced in the discourse, something like, once upon a time there was a king, Melech. Now, the king was named Arthur, Ha-Melech. There's the article. Okay? Now, that's the first use. Second one is the demonstrative use that Ross mentions here. And here, what we mean by this, and obviously you need to know something about what demonstrative means when you hear it. In English, we have the terms this and that for demonstratives. Demonstratives are words that point out something, usually with relation to the speaker in terms of nearness or distance. And Hebrew does have demonstrative pronouns that they're going to use for this and that. But the article can also have a demonstrative sense to it. And so the word yom, for example, could be translated when it has no article as a day. Okay, a day. But if I add the article to yom, it could be that I'm using the article to do function number 1, to specify a particular day, as in, do you remember the day that I first, as Michael Wazowski says in Monsters, Inc., the first day I laid eye on you, right? The day I laid eye on you. That could be the day. But it could also have the second function, which is to refer to this day. So Hayom could, and you just need to know your context a little bit better, it could have the sense in a context of this day. And when it is this day, when it has the demonstrative sense, then that's the way in Hebrew we say today. Today. So that's one other function of the article. Third function is that the article can be used with abstract and collective nouns. And when it is, sometimes translating the article with the word the in English is going to sound a little bit funny. Okay? So abstract nouns, what are those? These are the opposite of concrete nouns, and they refer to things like ideas and concepts. Okay? So things like success, courage, right? I know this is not really true, but I like to speak this way. Abstract nouns are things that you can't put in your pocket, right? You can't put success in your pocket, or courage for that matter. These aren't concrete things. Of course, you can't put a skyscraper in your pocket either, but that doesn't make skyscraper an abstract noun, right? So, but success, courage, fortitude, hope, love, joy, these are all abstract nouns. Collective nouns, these are things, these are nouns like singular nouns that inherently have the idea of multiple people or entities inside. So a noun like a people, or a nation, or a team, okay? And these sorts of words could have the article in Hebrew, and when it's used in those ways, it's not necessarily going to sound good to translate it into English. All right. So I guess there's one other sort of noun that's used with the article, and that's called a mass noun. A mass noun is to be distinguished from a count noun, where a count noun is something that can be pluralized and counted. Mass nouns typically aren't understood to be like that. And that really is the sort of example that we have here in Ross. It's the word gold in English. Gold, when you think about it, is something that we don't typically pluralize, right? I don't say, wow, there was a lot of golds in the mountains. Or when he was panning for golds, he found a lot. Okay? This word indicates a quantity of gold, but one that's not typically thought of as being individuated. All right? So that's a mass noun. And in Hebrew, the word for gold is zahav, and the article could occur on zahav, so that would be hazahav, and you wouldn't want to translate this as the gold, right? If you saw this occurring in some sentence, you would want to think first, is this referring to some specific instance of gold that was mentioned in the discourse? If so, you might translate it with the gold, as if to say, the gold, Achan stole the gold, some gold, and the gold was under his tent. But if you just want to say something like gold is good, and you have the word hazahav here, don't translate the article there. That just doesn't make very good English. Now, our last use is what's called the vocative use of the article. Vocative is a wonderful word. It comes from Latin, the Latin verb which means to call, and we get words like vocation, which is our calling. A lot of people think of vocation as just your job, but in terms of Christian theology, we often talk of someone's vocation as his calling. That is his calling from God. And it's not only pastors or priests that experience a kind of calling, but every Christian who does service for God is fulfilling a vocation, a divine calling to work for God's glory. And so vocation, calling, okay? Vocative is a word that refers to the use of a noun for direct address. All right, so a noun in English grammar, we typically speak this way, a noun of direct address. Okay, some languages have a vocative case ending, an inflectional ending on the back side of the noun that marks it as a vocative noun. So if I said something like, Billy eats chicken. Here, Billy's function is the subject, okay? But if I do something like this, Billy, eat more chicken. Let's say I'm a Chick-fil-A cow, okay? Billy is not the subject. Billy is now a vocative noun. and it's indicating that I am actually addressing Billy here. I'm addressing Billy. Billy is my addressee. The Hebrew article can be used with vocative semantics. So I could add it to the word Melech, for example, and then what am I looking at? Again, if this is the first type of article use, it could just mean the king, right? But if it's the fourth idea, if I'm talking to the king, I wouldn't say Hamelech means the king. It might be something like, O king, as in, O king, comma, live forever. Okay? I'm naming the king as the addressee. And the article can have that vocative sort of function. Okay? There you go. That's our introduction to the article. And we will stop there.